What's up, y'all? This is Lorraine Lindsey, and you are watching another episode of The Mindsetters. And today I am having a one-on-one with my lovely co-host, Miss Carmen Smith, to talk about the mindset of being in your 40s and up, right? So the 40s for real. And we just kind of want to tap into that because it's a real conversation. And we were, both of us are in our 40s and just learning to adapt and to live life and to really embrace being women in our 40s and what that looks like. So, Carmen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I missed you.
I know.
You've been away from me,
I
so
missed you too.
you are missed and happy to have you. So I think sometimes these one-on-ones are nice because it's just conversation. It's like talk about the 40s for real, right?
Yeah. I don't know if we've ever done a one-on-one either.
You and I don't think so, actually. I think you're right. We have not.
Cool.
So here we are. What's up? All right. I mean, we do it all the time
know.
outside of this place, so might as well do it on camera, right? So, all right. So we're going to talk about the 40s for real. And you and I have talked about this quite a bit, jokingly, but there's some real mindsets that you have to get into to really embrace aging because it's inevitable. It's going to happen regardless. So you might as well embrace what is happening. So
Okay.
we wrote a couple bullet points down and we'll just go right into it.
Okay.
All right. So the first one, we just finished our series on relationships. We beat the relationship horse to a pulp. And so there are all the bad relationships and now there's being single in your 40s, right? So one of the things that comes up is whether or not it's okay to date younger, especially as a woman, dating younger in your 40s. So let's tap into that. I think we both have some experience with that.
Yeah. I like younger men. I prefer a younger man
Okay, why?
because older men seem to be really set in their ways, and like I'm still like young spirited. I want to get up and go and be spontaneous, and maybe I'm stereotyping older men. I'm sorry. Quan, you want to chime in? No.
Kwan's like,
But
nope.
it's like I don't know. They're just so set in their ways that it's like if I want to just get up and go and say, let's just go to the park or do something crazy. Like I don't want to hear, oh, I got to get ready for work tomorrow. I wasn't planning on doing that.
Also, too, like, do you feel like, okay, so I've dated younger,
Mhm.
literally maybe twice ever.
I'm dating younger.
You are
now,
dating,
yeah.
you are dating younger. And the thing about dating younger, I think this is the mindset of women that we need to embrace. When I turned 40, that was hard for me.
Yeah.
I really struggled with that age for some reason. 30s, loved my 30s. But the 40s was like, wow, it's getting real. Like
Right.
this is the ladder of my younger years, right?
Yes.
They're definitely getting finite. And so that also too thinking, because I had guys say, oh, if a woman's 40 years old and she's single, something must be wrong with her.
Yeah. Why are you not married yet? Why are you
she's got
single?
issues.
Right.
And I would
I
literally
get
have
that.
men who were in their 40s tell me that,
Yeah.
and they were single. So I'm like,
Yeah.
so what's your story?
Right.
You know? But there's so many different reasons why you come to a point at 40 years old that you're single. But circling back to the dating the younger thing, one thing that I really am learning and embracing now with my age is that you get it from all different directions, right? It's like all of a sudden men who are a lot younger are really like, they're just coming out of the
Yeah.
woodworks. I'm like, where are you little young
Yeah.
bucks coming from? And then you've got men that are my age
Mhm.
that are interested in me. And then you've got older men. Whereas for some reason when I was younger, it always seemed to be either guys my age, I guess, or way older
Yeah.
men. But something about that 40s, that little sweet spot, I think we're in a really good space.
I think we shine a little different when we're in our 40s. We're so much more confident with who we are. Things are just not as serious as they used to be.
Right.
Like the
And I
look.
think also when we're going to get to like the sexual part of it,
Mhm.
I think we're much more in our peak
Right.
at this time in our lives too, right? But the younger thing, okay, so it is okay to date younger and you prefer it. I don't know if I'm sold on it completely. Just because there's men that are set in their ways, yes. But sometimes I kind of like that they've kind of gotten things out of their system
Mhm.
and they've been there, they've done a lot of things, and so they're like, all right, I'm good. But yeah, I mean, it is fun to
And
be
it
around
all
be around a
yeah.
younger guy.
It all depends on the man too. It could just be my experiences.
So do you like to be called a cougar?
Girl, I'm a saber tooth.
Saber-tooth tiger. Girl, you over there making yourself extinct.
Right.
We are
No,
in
I'm
our
not
40s.
extinct.
All right, moving on. Bullet point number 2, keeping it real about being in your 40s. Making your own decisions.
Mm.
So this is my thought process on this. And I think this is something that I've got a lot of clarity in my 40s. I think in my 20s and in my 30s, I went through a lot of different trials and tribulations. Really kind of learning and discovering who I was and what was acceptable and unacceptable for my life. And it took some ebbs and flows. It took some heartache. But I think being a woman in my 40s, I'm very aware of the fact that there is a finite amount of time as far as really feeling like a youthful woman still. And so the clarity and a lot of things are important because I really want to enjoy more of my life. I really want to embrace that peacefulness. Yeah. And so that comes in making decisions because I've always found that in my life, every time I've been very, very indecisive about something, it creates a lot of mental turmoil. It creates too much confusion. So clarity for me is very important, and that goes with decision making. Yeah. What do you think?
I totally agree. You kind of realize mortality, right? And I don't know what it is, but it's like I have less time probably ahead of me than I have behind me. So I'm very mindful of how I spend my time and absolutely making decisions because I'm with you. Like indecisiveness, it puts me in a bad space. I hate being confused. I just want to either be black or white sometimes.
Right.
So I probably live more in black and white now than I ever did.
I'm black and white by default because I have a black mom and a white dad. So.
But I would teeter in the gray area. I'm probably the gray.
No, but seriously, like people don't like. I think that's something like that more people need to embrace.
Yeah.
There's certain things in your life you just gotta let go of.
Yeah.
And when you get to a certain age, some people stay stuck though. They're in their 40s or their 50s or even in their 60s, and they're set. And that's the scary thing to me. That's the thing also where I found that my decision making and getting clarity was so important because you get hardwired when you hit a certain age. It is very difficult to unlearn things.
Yeah.
And at 40 and being in my 40s, it's like, you know what, Lorraine, if you don't nip this in the bud and get rid of these bad habits or start making these piss poor decisions, you're going to find yourself stuck in them for a very long time. And I don't want to be stuck, like whether it's relationships or finance, the way I handle my finances, careers. So,
and even when making decisions, who you're seeking advice from, that changes too. Because you're very conscious of who you ask for advice.
That is so true. Yeah. That is so true. Third point. It's not the end of the world if you're not married. Well, I was having a meltdown yesterday because it was my wedding date yesterday. And I think part of that, me being in my feelings about it, aside from the obvious, was also thinking, God, I'm 41 years old and thinking like I had this person, I thought this was going to be my forever person and I was going to have to be out there dating, and now I'm 40 and who's out there, and by the time they're my, all these things kind of based on my age and at some point in my woes of telling myself, but it's okay. It's okay that I'm not married. I'm 41 years old. I mean, I've been there. I've married before. But again, going back to the decision, I had to ask myself, am I really clear that decision was the right decision? And I am. But I'm also clear about it because I'm like, I'm 41 years old. I can't afford to spend time with any person, regardless of whether it's on a relationship or friendships, which we'll get to, if there isn't a sense of peace in that. Because like you said, we're at the latter part, and it sounds like horrible, grim or whatever. But I think the reason why we understand our mortality so much more is because at this age, if our parents are still alive, we actually see that they're old, they're getting old, right? Or we start to have people fall off a lot more, and you're like, oh my gosh. And so you start to really realize like, this is very real. And so I think my clarity is that there's going to be so much times, unfortunately, until my time comes, to grieve and be in mourning and to be sad about something. So why am I deciding to make choices in my life that are going to create unnecessary pain?
Love
when
that.
that's just, it's going to come with other things. So I'd rather reserve that. And so going back to the marriage thing, it was like, it'll come when it's supposed to come.
Yeah.
I'm clear that I want to be a wife. I'm ready to be a wife, but I don't need it to be an act of desperation because I'm in my
Right.
40s.
Right.
Do you know?
Yeah.
What were you going to say about that?
Oh, just I think like for me, like relationship wise, making mistake after mistake, it's like I'm just clear if the person isn't something that aligns with my life, like I just don't even want to waste time. I don't have years to give to somebody to figure
Right.
it out. So if out the gate it's not right, then it just ain't right. But
And there's something really special, in my opinion, what I'm learning about being single.
yeah,
I feel like I've been a serial monogamist. I have
yeah,
been in very long, extended relationships where I just had a hard time really letting go. Probably should have let go a lot sooner and just staying, and then not giving myself the time and space to really just kind of love me, embrace me, be my own best friend.
hmm
And there's something about being single that can be very powerful,
yeah,
right? Because there's a difference between, am I lonely or am I alone? And it's a different mindset for each thing. And right now I'm getting so much done in my life for me simply because I'm single.
yeah,
So if I choose to go on a date, I go on a date. But I'm not interested in anybody locking me down until it's absolutely the right time. And that will come. I trust the process.
yeah.
All right, here's a fun one. Um, Great sex doesn't end in your 20s. Maybe for the men.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm just kidding. I feel like the men slow down when they get older, and I think we speed up,
Yeah,
which
for
is why
sure.
the young men are really good for us.
Yeah.
No, but it's kind of like, I remember hearing a guy say once, no, several times actually, especially in my little corporate world that I'm in, they were like, oh, the way the men should date women that are half their age plus 7. That should be their magic age number. That's a match. And I'm like, well, how come us women can't do that? Like, why
Right.
is it bad for us to date the younger guys? Especially because personally for me, my 30s and now going into my 40s, it's like, to your point, I'm much more comfortable in my skin as a
Yes.
woman. I'm embracing my body as it is. I mean, I have my insecurities, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. But sexually, I know who I am, what I want, what I like. And I
Yeah.
also know who I am, what I like, and what I like to give.
hmm
And so we're adults.
Yeah.
And it could be a beautiful thing. And so,
And you can communicate it better.
yeah, I
I'm
don't,
with you. Like
yeah,
I'm so much more comfortable in my skin. Like it is what it is. You better love all of this or go somewhere else because somebody else will. No.
that's true though.
But
I mean, that's the truth.
but yeah, so I think that we enjoy it more in our 40s just because of that. You're not in your head overthinking. You can communicate better.
But some people think, right? The mindset is, oh, I'm in my 40s or I'm in my 50s or even in my 60s. And they put in their mind that they're too old to be this fun, uninhibited 20-something-year-old. They associate that with that. It's like, no, you could do that in your 40s. You can do it in your 50s and you can do it in your 60s. You can do it until you just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And to really to really embrace it. I think that's the hardest part about being single for me. Because this is what I admire about a lot of my female friends who are in their 40s is they know how to be no strings attached.
Yeah.
I'm not there. And I think it's because I was in such a long relationship and it hasn't been that much time that I'm not comfortable. And it's just my personality. Like, I just can't go meet somebody on an app and be like, okay, let's talk for a week and then let's just get it on. I need some more time. But that's
No.
just me. But there's, to your point, or not to your point, but the point I'm trying to make as I'm rambling is like, sometimes I think like, Lorraine, do you just need to relax a little and embrace and just, you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody, but I don't know if I can, but you can speak to that.
Yeah, I think you should do whatever makes you
Comfortable.
where
Yeah.
you could sleep at night. Like I've had no strings attached, but it was my choice and it was I don't know why I can just compartmentalize it. I haven't done it a lot of times, but sometimes that's just what it is
Yeah.
in the moment, or not in the moment, but
But here's my problem. This is true candor, like keeping it real. I go into this like mourning stage when I break up from a
Yeah, you do.
relationship. I really get into a funk, right? And it's even when men are like, we were at the gala and you got the guy like, all up in my grill, doesn't want to leave my side. And it's like, God, I mean, he's cute, he's handsome, you know what I mean? He's successful. And my brain just can't make the switch.
Yeah,
But it's,
you don't have to. I mean, don't make the switch the first day. You know what I mean?
no,
But
but
even if it's like a friend, like you know what I mean. You have you build a relationship with somebody, whether it's a friendship or and it kind of just. I'm not a person that can just like meet somebody and.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's because I'm in such a mourning stage. I'm in my feelings, quite often. It's almost like you have to I have to be careful not to stay there for too long,
Yeah.
because this is a peak. I feel like I'm at a peak. I have this desire for a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm like I gotta call somebody. Like there's gotta be somebody, and I know there is, right? I mean, I have options,
I'm
of course,
sure.
but it's like
Your inbox is gonna be full.
I know after this, I better like digress or whatever. Like, but I'm just saying, like, I have the desire; it's
Yeah.
there. But, my fear, my fear is I think about my age. We're going back to mindset of age, keeping it real. Is how long is this going to last? How long is this burning desire going to last? Especially because I don't have a partner right now.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I guess I'm rambling and saying stuff that is stupid for whatever reason, but for me, my intimacy has to be within a relationship. So now I'm like, I want to be single, but my body
Gotcha.
has a desire. So there's that conflict.
Yeah. And maybe that's how it developed,
Yeah.
with no strings attached. Because I wanted to be single and then I didn't even do that good because it's like I want to be single, but I want you for this. You know what I mean? And then people get in their feelings. So
And you know what though, keeping it real, I feel like when you're a woman in your 40s, you take care of yourself, you look good, you got your stuff together, you're successful, right? Here's the hard part about being single, and this has been my experience. I've gone on a couple dates recently, and they want to lock you in right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you're like a catch, and
yeah.
and it's like, can I just like, can we just kind of drag this out a little bit? And
Yeah.
that's another thing too. So you could want to be single and maybe have someone that you're comfortable with that would just be like maybe an intimate partner, but then they want to lock you down.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. I'm over that conversation. All right, so there's more to life than a perfect body. This is a hard one, I think, when you hit 40, because that's exactly when your metabolism says to hell with you. You were my friend in our 20s, and you were mean to me, and so I'm leaving you. Your metabolism goes.
I've never had a perfect body. So actually, I was heavier when I was younger.
I remember you telling me, I was like, no way. And then you showed me your little picture. And I was like, oh my goodness, she was
Yeah.
cute
So,
little chub.
maybe I'm going to get some work done. I don't know. That's the part that I'm struggling with. Like in my 40s, I want to get work done. Now I want a perfect body. When I had all the time in the world to work out and get a perfect body, now I just want to cut it off.
Okay, so is that bad? Is that good? I mean,
I don't think
because there's more to life than a perfect body, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's something that a lot of women, I think most women have considered it.
Mhm.
After you've had children or your body is changing or you're watching all these freaking women
Yeah.
on Instagram and everywhere else, and they seemingly have these perfect bodies, even women who are in their 40s, and you're almost like trying to keep up with the Joneses to look a certain way.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the 40s for real, to your point, you get to a certain age and you're like, all right, I'm going to do this. But then you're like, all right, but then in 10 years, I'm going to be in my 50s. And, and then is it even worth it?
Yeah.
Should I do it?
And just noticing the age on on my face, and those are things that like I've never noticed it before till now. The gray hair, so it's good today, but next week
But there's more to life than a perfect body.
there is more to life.
Such as what exactly? Somebody tell me. Because I feel like the moment you get a perfect body,
Life is going to be great.
I'm only kidding. Of course, I'm only kidding. But I say that, but yet listen, I'm very vain about my health, like the way I physically look.
Yeah.
I like to look good. I want to work
Yeah, I
out.
like to-
I want to, because the little, like, I mean, the thing is, I have to now. I more than ever, I really have to. So I know they say there's more to life than a perfect body, and in a perfect world that works. But
More concerning about our health.
well, yeah. Now you got to worry about that too,
Yeah.
right? Because now you go to the doctor and like, your cholesterol's up. You're like, what? When did that happen? I'm pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
What? Are you kidding me? I thought I was just sweet. Like, so yes, there's more to life than your body, and you got to have your health. But
And it's so weird how we're like sexually we're comfortable in our skin, doesn't matter, but then yet that perfect
but
body.
then but yes and no, right? Because I know women that are not comfortable in their skin, and so it does affect their sex life in their 40s, big time, right? Because the insecurity, I don't look the same when I'm with my man. If I'm with my younger man or the guy my age or that guy, he may love me for who I am, so he says, but his eyes, he's breaking his neck to look at the flawless, 21-year-old that's walking on the beach. So I don't know. I don't know about that one.
All right.
That one's a tough one.
Yeah.
For me, if I'm keeping it real. If I'm keeping it 40 for real. All right. So aging is inevitable.
Oh. Yeah, talking about the skin. I was watching The View today, and I guess somebody gave Sarah Jessica Parker, they talked bad about her because she was raw face, no makeup, and she had gray hair. And she was with Andy Cohen.
Okay.
And he's all gray, and nobody said anything about him. And she was like, what am I supposed to do? Like become invisible, like not age and like basically go away?
God, it's so...
And I think she's in her 50s, right?
I think she's in her 50s, yeah.
But she's beautiful still.
I think so. And then, you hear this all the time too, like they'll either say, wow, she's really aging, or she's not aging well, or wow, her age is really getting ready to show. We get no grace with age, right? Men, I love seeing men with the lines and the salt and pepper hair. I love it. I think that's why I like the older guys more than I like the younger guys. Yeah. I don't want to see the little baby face. I don't even want there to be a mistake that I'm the older lady. Like, I just don't. This is where my vanity kicks in. I like to still feel like I'm a young woman, so that's why I think I like the older men. But we get no grace, and I mean, listen, I go get my Botox in my forehead. And I remember I used to be really like, I wouldn't say anything to anybody about it. Now I don't give a shit. It's like, no, I don't. I literally, I don't want to have the lines. I just don't want them. So I go and do that. It's my prerogative. It's my body, but it makes me feel like I'm keeping my face young. Now I can't do anything about the rest of this body. You know what I mean? But then again, I go to the gym and I make sure I'm working out to try to preserve it. But it is inevitable. And I always ask myself, what is the age? And when will I be free in that? Because what will be the age when I'm like, Lorraine, it's okay. Because there's some aspects, if I'm being honest, if there's some aspects of me where I'm totally fine. I don't mind being 41 because I feel like I don't look much different than I did back in my, I don't feel like I'm aging really, like it's not really showing yet. Little bit here and there, but not a lot. But I'm like, how am I gonna feel when it really starts to show? And when will I finally get to that space where I'll be comfortable in it? Because I really admire when women are really comfortable in their skin about their aging. I had this guy, a friend of mine, and he's dating this woman, and he's in his 50s, I believe, and so is she. And she's a very beautiful woman. And he says, I love that she's natural and she doesn't do the Botox, she lets her whatever. And he goes, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not as attracted to her because she looks old.
Wow.
He said that. He never told her that. And he's like, because he actually looks really young for his age. And she has this great body and this great figure, but it's showing. And he said, I feel like an awful person, but I can't deny the fact that I'm not attracted to her. And I wish she would kind of maybe do some things. He goes, but how would I say that to her without her feeling, and he loves her. And he says, we have great sex life. He's like, but sometimes I'm just not attracted to her. I love the youthfulness of a woman. And I was like, oh, that hurts my heart.
It does, but it's so
And he's
sad.
being honest. He didn't mean it in any mean way.
Men are so, they always get a pass with that.
Yeah. All right, this one's depressing. We're going to move on. Let's go to self-confidence. All right, so here's what I'm going to say about the mindset of self-confidence. I truly, truly believe. Now, I'm a very confident person intellectually and spiritually. Like I feel very secure to those kind of things. And I feel like that's my base. So when I am feeling off aesthetically, because I'm not as confident aesthetically. And I know people are like, okay, Lorraine, you're a pretty girl, you're attractive, whatever. But I have my own weird insecurities. And I've talked about it on other shows with, pathology and things and what makes me insecure. But what do you think? Like, what's your thing on self-confidence in your 40s? And how do you find that as we age and whatever?
I think I found more confidence intellectually, more confidence in business, more confidence, just like talking about making decisions. Like I feel more that I make more sound decisions. As far as physically, I feel like I mean, I have my insecurities about things, but like I put a bathing suit on for the first time, about a year ago?
Oh, when we were in Costa Rica?
Was that the first time?
Oh, I don't know. No, but I remember in Costa Rica, you were walking around in your bathing suit. You're like,
Yeah.
I never do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is probably more comfortable in my skin. But I always feel like I look good. It's perspective how you feel in the morning. You know what I mean? But I think I love how confident I am just with who I am.
Yeah. I think,
It's easier for me to be me.
and I think you're really good at that. I think you do a really good job with that. I'm really good at pretending. Like
Mhm.
I can put on a brave face and put myself out there. And I think I do that to help me to
Mhm.
be more self-confident. That it's like kind of that cliche, fake it till you make it. Because there are a lot of things that I get insecure about,
Mhm.
and really truly as I get older, just because I have this mindset sometimes of I should have been here already, or this is where I should have made it, or I should have had XYZ. And perceivably, like on the outside, everyone's like, but you got this, you got that. And sometimes I forget to be grateful
Mhm.
for the things and being mindful, like, oh, Lorraine, you are accomplished, you have done well, this and that. So the self-confidence sometimes is just me putting on a brave front,
Mhm.
not to be fake by no means, but to say, Lorraine, you have to be it to become it. And so that's kind of where my mindset is, because I think when I was younger, I was much more self-confident, but it was without thought.
Mm.
Whereas now I'm much more aware of things and more aware of, I guess maybe I'm lying to myself there too, because I made a lot of really silly mistakes in my 20s because I wasn't confident. So I'm more aware of how I'm lying to myself now than I was then. Let's just say that. Okay, so meaningful friendships. This, when we talk about, 40s for real, to me, this is everything.
Yeah.
Really, truly. My tribe is everything, and it's small.
So small.
So what do you want to say? Speak to that.
When you're
Speak to that, Carmen.
when you're out of town, I'm like, I don't have nobody to hang out with. No.
That's how I feel now with your new man. I'm like, I'm the third wheel. And then when one of his cronies come along, it's like, no, you're not sufficient. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding if he's watching. Your friends are fabulous. I love your friends. I was just trying to be funny, so forgive me. Okay. We can always edit that out, you know what I'm saying? It's just because I'm in my feelings, okay? I'm just not ready yet. I keep backpedaling. Anyway.
Yes, friends are so important. Like,
yes.
I just don't have time to entertain meaningless relationships, period. Like, if you take from me, I don't want anybody taking from me my energy, my time, just wasting it.
And okay, so meaningful friendship. This is how I see meaningful friendship. And this is just for me. And as far as the mindset of that, I'm more interested at this stage of my life in my 40s of confidants
Hmm.
versus just friendships. I love my friendships, but my confidants, like I consider you to be a confidant. I consider my son actually to be one of my confidants. Just people who are just raw
Hmm.
and they're just very honest. But I know that honesty is coming from a very
A place of love.
a place of love, and
Hmm.
it's integral in what they're saying. And it may not always feel good and give a little sting, but I like when there is perspective that's being given to me, because sometimes I can't always see myself. And so your meaningful friends are, to me, it's the most important thing because they're the ones that are going to help you when you like I've been feeling, I've been down for a while, and without my friends to say, get up, let's go out, let's hang out, let's laugh, let's have some drinks, and let you just talk about it. Let me be that shoulder. You can cry and you can say what you need to say, and I need that.
Yeah.
I'm
We all need a safe place.
right,
And
right,
when you have good friends, you feel safe, you can share. Everybody needs somebody to
right.
share with. And I've kind of always been that way though. Like I've always had a really small circle.
Hmm.
But now it's like my tolerance for stuff is just I just don't have it. I barely have the energy for what I have to do. You know what I mean? And
Right.
people that just suck from you and take and they're always asking for stuff and it
And you know what? And level up type friends too. Like
yeah,
my meaningful
you want
friendships
to
too.
learn from them.
Yeah, I need people that when I'm in their space, I'm not staying. They're not
Stagnant.
dragging me
Mhm.
down, or I'm not saying stagnate. Because there are some people who are good people.
Mhm.
I've had friends that are really good friends, but they're not in a good emotional space that I end up participating in, and they kind of drag me down.
Yeah.
And as I'm getting to this stage of my life, I'm realizing that the importance of my friends, like, like if I was a drinker and I'm hanging out with friends who are drinkers and they mean well and they're there for me to support, but my drinking is making me sabotage my life.
Yeah.
And I'm hanging out with someone who's drinking and sabotaging my life, there's going to be two sabotagers. Like I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I gotta play. I can't play in the sand in the kids boxing where we gotta go do some adulting, and I need friends that are gonna say, "Get your shit together, girl.
Yeah.
Like step up. You said you were gonna do this thing. Go do your thing."
Yeah.
And just really accountability friends. That's
Yeah.
important to me now.
Yeah.
It's so important to me
And
now.
like like you said, for accountability, like having big dreams or wanting to do big things, it's like you talk about it now, people are going to hold you accountable to that.
Accountable.
You better do it or they're
Right.
going to be like, girl, you're tripping. So
Exactly.
you are so right with that.
So number 9, time with yourself. Being keeping it real in your 40s.
Hmm.
Ah,
I've
okay,
never
I'm
valued
gonna
it
go
more.
both sides on this one. Time with yourself or too much time with yourself. And I think there's a fine line sometimes with both. But I think it's essential that I guess really with any age, but as you're aging and you're trying to define yourself and figure out who you are, because you come to different epiphanies in your life, if you will, about your life when you start to get older, I think. Um, and I think sometimes to just spend time with you and so you can reflect, so you can be accountable, so you can be honest, so you can kind of love yourself. Because when you're sitting alone and giving yourself that quiet time, and I don't mind can be a devil's
Yeah.
playground if you're not careful of who you are. But I think that time with yourself, sometimes you got to have it just so you can let those things come up so you can know what you need to work on.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's just
Yeah.
I love my
I,
alone time.
I do too. I never appreciated alone time before. I used to actually hate to be alone, raising kids and being married and always having family around, or I always had somebody there. So when I started having alone time, I was like, where are the people? And I
Mm.
had to deal with myself. But I think I grew a lot that way, and I really value it now. And I could be alone for a long time
And so that's where I was
without.
going to say about where on the other side of that, right?
Hmm.
Um, because I've also seen the opposite of that, where let's say as a woman, you've been scorned and you're jaded and your heart's broken and you've just been through too many. By the time you hit your 40s, a lot has happened in your life. And there's a lot to be concluded in your mind about what has happened, right? Um, and how those stories and things and outcomes can replay in your
Hmm.
mind. And sometimes it can create a reclusiveness, right? Where you just want to completely hermit and get away from anything that can cause pain points. And so it's good to have time with yourself, but it's there's a fine line of whether or not you're spending too much time alone.
Yeah.
And say, if I'm spending time by myself, what's the why? Because I want to reflect, or I just like the peace, or because I just want to be in a space of loving myself and embrace myself, or because I don't want anyone close to me. I don't want anyone near me. These friendships have broke my heart. These relationships broke my heart. My family, this and that. So it's because that's something that if you start that in your 40s, then in your 50s and your 60s and your 70s, you can become a very lonely person, and it's very sad. And I've seen it. I see it all the time.
I think, especially in our 40s, we have to learn to confront our past or whatever is bothering us, and stop being the victim to our life, and have time with yourself to talk it out. I mean, counseling, I don't know. I'm a good self-therapist. I think I am for myself, but
I
you have.
disagree. I disagree with anybody who says that. And I'm not saying that because I'm a life coach.
No, I'm just saying whatever help you need. If you're living in your past relationships and dwelling on everything, sometimes you got to look at yourself and take responsibility for it. So maybe.
But I think coaches in life, whether you're deciding to see a therapist or an actual coach, there's a course that I took many years ago, and it was such a valuable thing. But it was, you know what you know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. And that is often where all your blind spots are in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we try to self-coach ourselves or self-talk ourselves, we're only talking about what we know. And sometimes we're only talking about what we don't know.
And that goes back to leveling up with your friends,
right,
too.
Right.
If you can't, like you said, you can't hang around a bunch of drunks if you're a drunk.
Right.
You have to get out of that circle.
Right.
But it has to start with looking at yourself.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And so we just make so many excuses. And at some point, some people, I guess, might deserve to be lonely.
And I think, too, like,
figure it out.
When you spend that time with yourself,
mm-hmm.
I think when you would spend time with yourself and you're being reflective, because I certainly have done that,
mm-hmm.
where especially when I'm really going through an emotional setback, I really need that time to myself.
Yeah.
I'm a person who needs to deal with the emotions without too many distractions, and I know some people do the opposite. They distract.
mm-hmm.
I remember watching this video a long time ago, and it was a couple had broken up, and they were together and they loved each other, but they broke up. And the man goes on a whore fest. Like, he is trying to hook up with every girl. He's like, every Instagram girl, he's like, she's cute, I'm gonna follow. He's following everybody. One of them's gonna follow me back, just being real thirsty. And she's crying at home in her bed. She's like mourning and sad, and her friends are consoling her, but she's just dealing with it,
mm-hmm.
right? And then lo and behold, months and months and months goes by. She has cried her last cry. She's done her healing, and she meets somebody. But because she dealt with herself emotionally, she was able to be 100% available to the person. And then it shows the guy who has done so much distracting. He's feeling empty, and he's like, I don't need to do it. And now his healing starts 6-7 months later. And he's watching his ex-girlfriend run across the street. And now all of a sudden he's the brokenhearted guy, because now he's like, how did she move on so fast?
Yeah.
But it's like, no, you just chose to, one's distracting and one's dealing.
Yeah.
And I think that, and that was a long-winded thing, but I think when you're spending time with yourself, especially when you're going through things, it's important that you give yourself permission to heal through whatever it is
mm-hmm.
that you need to heal through, or whatever. I don't know, I'm rambling. Okay, moving on. Lorraine loves to talk. Okay, last one. Keeping it real in your 40s. I think this is probably one of my favorite of all the bullet points, is the career and business. It's when you are in your 40s, it is not the end of the road. When you're in your 50s, it is not the end of the road. When you're in your 60s, Colonel Sanders started his Kentucky Fried Chicken in his 60s. It is never too late to find a new purpose for your life, or a new drive, or a new career, or start a new business. It's never too late. And I, self included, that was because I'm like third career now, right?
mm-hmm.
And in my mind, there was a lot of emotional setback for me, and a lot of procrastination, of really dragging my feet from the time I got to mid-30s, wanting to start this new career because of my age. I'm too old, and I'm getting older, and like I got to start all over, and all that self-limiting talk that I was doing until bam, when 40s, and then I just like, Lorraine, you got to get this stuff in motion, because while you're sitting there hemming and hawing and worrying about this, the time is still ticking. Yeah. It's still going. It's not waiting for you. And once I really got it into motion, I was like, wait a minute. At this age, I'm much more clear. I'm much better at making decisions. I'm way more focused. I know how to make the money. I've learned the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? Why not? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
What's
the worst that can happen? Starting a new business.
And it's scary. I get it,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to you having to think about retirement and depending on what that career is. But I say do it. You just got to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I'm starting my new organization. So
Congratulations, by the way. I'm very proud of you. Yeah. You know what's interesting too is that before 40, my careers were very provisional.
mm-hmm.
And it was the focus was literally, I just need to make this money. Well, I was on my hustle game, hardcore for me and for my son. Now I'm much more, like I said, when it comes to my confidence, it's my intellect and it's also me spiritually. And so I'm much more about my purpose. And I don't think purpose has to be some grandiose thing. And I don't think a human being's purpose is just one thing.
No, I don't
It's static, it moves, it changes. My purpose at one time was to be a mom. And now it's like, no, this is this podcast, doing this show, this new network that I'm doing, coaching. It makes me feel fulfilled. It's me. It's my contribution.
Mm-hmm.
And why do I need to worry about my age when all I'm trying to do is serve?
Right. Oh, I love that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And how horrible would you feel 70 years old? Like, I coulda, shoulda, woulda helped.
That's that
You don't
part.
know whose life you touch just by the words you speak.
I remember Oprah, she was doing an interview and she was telling somebody that she was talking about her girls' school in Africa
Mm-hmm.
and how that was her legacy. And she was talking to Maya Angelou. And Maya Angelou said to her, sweetheart, everything you do is your legacy. You never know who you've touched. It's never just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that you've put a smile on. When you did your speech on Saturday night, which was beautiful, by the way,
Thank you.
although I missed it. I saw it later. But look at the impact that you had on people afterwards when people were coming up to you and talking to you. Look what the girl said to you that sat with you when she talked about her child. And all those little things are your legacy. And they are not defined by your age.
Yeah.
They're defined by your grace. They're defined by your integrity and your abundance, which is your love that you can give. And so if you have a career or purpose, something you want to do, and it's pulling at you,
Yeah.
do it.
I think prior, I would not have had the confidence to do it.
Why?
I just feel like I would, my whole thing was, I got to have something to say. I got to have something to say. And you're like, you do have something to say.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
like, so just doing that was a huge confidence builder for me. So,
I'm so proud.
yeah, but I think in my 30s, I probably would have backed out.
Interesting.
I
That's
wouldn't have
actually
wanted to
interesting.
fail at it, because I was so worried about messing up. And I wouldn't have wanted to look like I failed. So,
That's interesting because you know what? Keeping it real, like I think that's what I trust more in
Mhm.
life is that when the time is right, it's right.
Right.
And I'm learning more to be patient about that. Is to trusting the process
Mhm.
of life and saying, what is yours can never be taken.
Yeah.
I believe that. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a career or a position or a purpose, it's like, just trust more, Lorraine. You don't have to force it. You don't have to put a round or with a square peg in a round hole. Just trust the process of your life and just be still in it,
Mhm.
All right, so this was kind of like
It came
start.
good.
I like it. I like when we just, that's what we talk about when we're drinking our wine and our martinis. What would you say? We went over a few different bullet points, but how would you conclude when we talk about the mindset of being in 40s and up, right? It's not just about 40s, it's but about as we get to that latter stage. What would you end it with?
Being in our 40s and keeping it real is all about being honest with you, with what you like, what you want to do, who you are, and just having those real conversations with yourself and being comfortable with decisions you make. I think that's the most important thing.
Shit, I mean, I didn't mean to say shit, but I said it. I would say, and it's a good conversation because it's me being very candid about the fact that I've had difficulties with it, and I still struggle sometimes with it, especially with certain aspects of my life and where I'm at. But I'm alive until I die,
Mm-hmm.
right? They say you only live once, and it's like, no, you only die once, and it's just a number, right? I just say embrace. If you want to go get the work done, get the work done.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to change your body and you feel good, go change your body and go feel good. But just do it for you,
Yeah.
right? And just love every stage. You get to be the best you at every stage of your life. the only thing about that is it's just your choice. So why not surround yourself with the best kind of people, the best kind of everything, and be the best you? I mean, that's all I got to say about that. I'm working on it, though.
Always
Truly,
working.
I'm truly working on it. So, all right, my dear friend, I think we should go get a steak
We're gonna eat
and a
steak.
martini.
Sounds good.
I think it sounds great. Thank you guys for watching The Mindsetters, where we believe that if you can change your mind, you truly have the power to change your life. And until next time, see you. And wait, before you click that off, Kwan, don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Let us hear from you and give us content. We love to hear from you. So thank you again. Chill. Ciao. That's so off today. I'm just off.